Hello and welcome to Make It Conscious and to this guided exercise for the ISFP personality type. You can do this exercise whether you are an ISFP or whether you'd like to better understand the ISFP mind. If you're not sure what your personality type is, then head over to makeitconscious.com and take the free assessment. So, as an ISFP, just like all other types, your mind has four primary ways in which it works. The ways in which it perceives the world and makes decisions, or organizes what it perceives. And as an ISFP, the primary way in which you do this, what's known as your dominant function, is what I have termed the lover, or technically known as introverted feeling. This is your main way of making decisions, and it's concerned with what feels right to you based on your own personal value system, what resonates, what's authentic, what you feel on some level or even know to be right. And your second, or auxiliary function, is what I've termed the tactician, technically extraverted sensation. So this is your main way of perceiving the world. The tactician is very concerned with immediate sensory experience, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can taste. And this is the main way in which you sense the world. Those are the two main functions of your mind as an ISFP. Beyond that, though, your third function is what's known as introverted intuition, or as I have nicknamed, the Seer. This is a kind of inner knowing, concern with how things really are beneath the surface, and also how they're likely to unfold in the future. And in last place, as your inferior function, is what's known as the commander, technically known extraverted thinking. So this is concerned with what makes sense in the world, what's logical, what's efficient, what's going to work, irrespective of the lover's value system. On its own, it's not so concerned about that. And that's why it's in last place for you as an ISFP and might feel less comfortable and certainly less familiar. So with that said, just setting up for the exercise by making sure you are comfortable. You can do this seated or lying down. And just closing your eyes, allowing the mind to settle. And it's a good idea to start each active imagination exercise with just some basic meditation. So bring your attention now to the sensation of the breath, wherever you feel it the most. Whether it's the sensation of the air moving through the nostrils, or the rise and fall of the chest or abdomen. And just see if you can keep your attention there for now. And if at any point during this exercise the mind wanders, simply bring the attention back to whatever it is you're doing. And now, you're next going to bring the mind into the imagination. And starting just by imagining yourself in a space where these four functions of your mind can convene. Something like a meeting room or boardroom can work well for this, or some kind of outdoor space. Just see what your mind produces on its own. And next, you're going to invite in each of these four functions, one by one, in symbolic form. Starting with the lover. So the lover, when used well, can be principled, expressive, and refined. But it can also be self-righteous, overly sensitive, or even elitist. Now, as your dominant function, you're already quite familiar with the lover. But what appears here in symbolic form may well represent aspects of this function that even you aren't yet aware of. In any case, all there is to do here is simply to invite this function into the space and see how it appears. Notice its various features, how it presents itself, its clothes and colours, as well as how it behaves. And how it chooses to position itself in this space. And next, do the same again for the tactician. This is your auxiliary function. Now, the tactician is naturally extroverted, in contrast to your natural preference of introversion. However, this is still a part of you that you are quite familiar with. The tactician, when used well, is adaptable, practical, grounded, and spontaneous. However, it can also be impulsive, indulgent, or even reckless. So again, simply invite this function to appear in this space. And take note of how it appears and how it behaves, and where it chooses to place itself in this space. Next, invite your Seer function to appear. Seers, when well developed and used well, can be insightful, visionary, perceptive, but they can also overthink, be impractical, and even paranoid. Now, as this is your third function, the opposite to that tactician function, you're going to be less familiar with this function overall. And so see if you can stay with the very first image that appears here. Even if there is some desire to change it, just allow it to be exactly as it needs and chooses to. Again, notice how it appears and how it behaves. And lastly here, invite your commander function to appear. The commander, when used well, can be logical, efficient, systematic. However, they can also be impatient, domineering, or even ruthless. And as your inferior function, this is the least developed of the four and the most bound up in the unconscious. So there might be a particular temptation to change what appears here. But just see if you can, again, stay with the very first thing that shows up. No matter whether it seems strange, bizarre, or even obvious. And even if you feel very averse to what shows up here, provided that it doesn't try to harm you or anyone else, just give it complete freedom to appear and behave however it needs to. And so, now that all four functions have appeared together in this space, notice how they are together. Are there any obvious dynamics between them? Notice if there's any one function that seems particularly keen to speak. Maybe there are multiple. But just choose one of these four functions now. and invite it to come forward. Give it some time to express itself and hear what it has to say. And now, it might not only speak, but move or do something. See if you can give it complete freedom to share its message with you. And next, it's your turn now to respond to this function. What you feel and have to say here matters in this interaction. So you're going to say what you have to say and engage in a two-way interaction with this function. As a guide, see if you can work towards understanding where it's coming from, what its needs are, and also what you can do together to continue developing it and your relationship with it. So take the next minute or two to engage in this two-way interaction with this function. So, as this interaction draws to a close, just let all four functions know that it's time for you to leave. Don't worry if it feels incomplete. There'll be plenty more time to engage with all four functions and aspects of your mind. But for now, just allowing the scene to fade. And bringing your attention back into the space around you. And opening your eyes in your own time. So I hope you found that useful and got a sense of the autonomy of your own mind and unconscious there. And maybe also some of the conflicts or shadows that might exist amongst these functions of yours, as well as your strengths and what it is you can do to keep honing those. This technique of active imagination is one of the best ways I know of to understand your own mind and to work with your unconscious. If you're interested to continue working with your four functions in this way, you can check out the Personality Alchemy pack. And you can find that inside Hestia at hestia.makeitconscious.com. So for now, I'll thank you for your time and attention, and look forward to speaking to you in a future exercise.